After witnessing the demise of both his parents at a young age, young Dwayne Michael Taylor becomes the Night Thrasher. His body armor serves as a protection from an evil he himself has created. Granted a mystic power, bred through generations of his tribe in order to create the perfect warrior, Thomas Fireheart is the Puma. Seeking a greater challenge for being CEO of a multi-million-dollar company, Thomas sells his ability as the Puma as an assassin, which led him into an entanglement with the Spider-Man, sometimes a foe, other times an ally. Hey everyone, Bryan here, and this is my review of the Marvel Legends Kingpin wave. This video serves as the second part to my 4-part series, Road to Kingpin, where I give you the rundown of every figure in the wave and we finish off with the Build-A-Figure. At the very end of this series, I'll be announcing the winner of the giveaway as mentioned in part 1. I've already shown you some of the great poses that you can get these two into, so let's quickly talk about some of the articulation. Puma is actually a cool cat. What I really like about him is these sculpted feathers. They don't get in the way at all of any of the articulation on his arm or on his head. They're both made of this really nice textured plastic that is the same for the arms and the feet and these rubbery bits right here. You can look all the way up. He has a really nice look down. This necklace is the same as you see on the Black Panther figures and can just be taken right off. It's a common body, but I like the sculpt and how it looks on this figure. I think there's a nice transition between the fur of his arms and into his costume, since this yellow is not part of his costume, it is supposed to be part of his skin or his fur. It has a really nice texture on the arms and on the feet. It's a different feeling plastic. It's a little more rubbery, I guess. You got some sculpted fur in there, these tufts of hair on the side that match the tufts of hair on his sideburns very nicely. He's got a wonderful facial expression and absolutely fantastic face paint. Look at just the sculpt detail of the feathers and just the different in colors with them. It really looks great. He is a basic figure. He's just got, regular articulation for this body. He'll have a bicep swivel right there. His arms go up yay much. Double hinged elbows. Rotation at the wrist with a hinge at the wrist as well. Like I said, the hair and the feathers, they don't get in the way of any of the articulation, and neither does this little cuff around his bicep. Doesn't affect anything. The only thing that does affect articulation is right here at the waist. That belt, it's the same as the one on Night Thrasher, but you just cannot turn his waist without stretching the belt. You can, and I'll show you right there, but there's a lot of resistance from the belt. The figure really doesn't want you to bend that way. He's got articulation right at his ab. You can go forward that much, backward that much. There's his kick forward, and that's all he's going to get for a kick back right there. But he does have double hinged knees, a rotation at the thigh, no calf rotation, but he does have ankle pivot and a hinge at the feet. Unfortunately, the leg on my figure is bowed out a little bit to the right. It wasn't bad, but it's definitely not great.
Testing 1 2, testing 1 2, testing 1 2.
Night Thrasher has all the same articulation as Puma. Aesthetically, he just looks a little bit different. First off, he has all these accessories in the back on this little back piece right here. It just plugs in with 2 pegs into his back to this little port. I don't understand what these 2 extra holes up here are for. They're just there. Maybe there's going to be an add-on for him in the future. I have no idea what the plan is. He comes with a skateboard that just pops in right there, and it has a lot of nice sculpt work on this skateboard, and the wheels do move so you can get him into some poses or have him ride around on it. But you can't do much with it because there's no peg on the top of here, so you can't connect his feet to it, and that makes me think that, personally, I think the skateboard is a little useless, and it's more for looks than it is for play. You get a lot of great detailing on this back piece with the scuffs and all, and then these 2 batons come off just like that. You can plug them in. You can plug them into each other. They're just like the ones that were with included with Daredevil and Moon Knight. These ones are made of a bit harder of a plastic. I don't know if the ones from Moon Knight were updated, but the ones I have for Daredevil were much softer, more pliable. These are far harder, a little nicer to work with. As a figure, looks pretty badass. He's got a really cool helmet that has all of these scuffs and dings molded into the side of it. You see it right there. Looks really cool. Unfortunately, mine has this black dot right there at the front. Pretty distracting, but it's not the worst nonetheless. If there were some other ones around, it wouldn't bother me as much. I would just think, oh, it goes with the dings and the scuffs. But, it's right there. I love the finish on the armor. I like the difference between this glossy finish versus the matte finish on the legs. You can see the gloss continues on these pieces of the armor on his calf and on his arm. It looks very nice. It goes all the way to the back of the figure. Not as noticeable back here as it is up front. Maybe that's just because it is kind of dulled out back here. He does have the same articulation as Puma, and there's not much going on. These cuffs, I feel like they might get in the way of a little bit of articulation, but it's not noticeable too much. He actually can, at the waist, swivel perfectly with the belt. The belt isn't as high as it is on Puma, and it just works much better here all in all. There's a cool black wash across that belt, which I haven't seen in a Marvel Legends in a very long time. There's also this little sash on his leg that does move around too much, but it's not going to go below right there, which is very nice, unlike Cyclops, where this shit... Okay, mark my words, that actually does come off. Never mind, that piece actually does come off. I have not had that actually happen to me before. So I'll just have to put that back on real quick. There we go, Night Thrasher as good as new. This is the only time that has happened to me. Take that with a grain of salt. I haven't had any issues with it. I actually, I sort of forced it to go down there. But for regular movement, it doesn't. Right down here at his ankle, the molding of this armor does get in the way of the ankle pivot a little bit, but you can sort of bypass that by using the hinge at its full potential. You can kind of get up and above it, it looks like. Haven't messed with that so much. If you let the back of the foot go up behind it, you'll get a lot more movement. Every time I use ankle pivot, I have to fix the hinge. For the size comparison, Night Thrasher comes out pretty tall at 6.5 inches due to his boots. Puma stands just short of that height, being a little over 6 inches himself. If mine's legs weren't so warped, he might be a little taller. They're both at that 6-inch scale mark, though. Before I can make this review, I had to do a little research as to who these characters actually were. I watched a video from Toy Shiz on Night Thrasher and Comic Book University on Puma. If you're looking for a quick read-up on either characters, I highly suggest going to these sources to check out their videos on the characters. I like both of these figures. Even from my perspective, for being total nobodies, I could see either of them having a place on my shelf, and I can see why other people might like them too. With Puma, there's a lot of fun to be had. The figure on its own is extremely expressive, and just about every aspect of the design complements that. Where other reviewers will tell you a character leaped from the pages, I can really see that here. He moves well, and there's just something about the simplicity of the animal-like features that make him particularly striking to me. Night Thrasher as a character is probably more unknown than anybody else in this wave, but he's been around more than you think. He's been seen side-by-side Spider-Man a handful of times, and was even present for Marvel's Civil War event. Who knew? He's certainly not one of my favorites from the wave, being how unrecognizable he is to myself, so I can't really connect with him much. The number of accessories and the quality and detail of the molding makes me think that this line is going into a very good direction. The biggest drawback of this figure for me still is that he does not have a peg on the skateboard. There wasn't much I was willing to do with him. Now that does it for my review of these figures. I want to take this moment to thank you as the viewer for sticking with me. And if you have any questions about the giveaway I mentioned in the beginning of the video, or maybe you saw it on my Instagram page, I am hosting a giveaway for a $20 e-gift card of your choice of retailer near you that sells an action figure game that you're looking for. The announcement will be on part 4 of my Road to Kingpin series, so until then, stay tuned for my reviews of the rest of the wave, and good luck to everyone who's entered in the first video. Your entries are still valid until part 4 is up, so if you haven't already, go ahead and enter now. If you want to see more from me, keep up with my release schedule, or any posts I make, be sure to follow my Instagram page at mixed.beans and my Twitter at MixedBeansYT. Again, thanks for watching, and I hope to see you all for part 3.